This is Rocky Romero with Peers on Demand, and it's my pleasure today to introduce to you Brian Davidson from Expect. Get right into it. I wonder if you could share a little bit about yourself and your business.
I'm a CPA and a certified fraud examiner, and my professional background has been spent almost entirely in the public accounting field. Let me use that to kind of segue into talking about my business. Many people may not realize, but public accounting industry right now is in a lot of turmoil. And the number of people who are sitting for the CPA exam, for example, has gone down dramatically in recent years. And the reason is that the value of the profession and how CPAs bring value to businesses going forward is uncertain. You know, who are we? We're having an identity crisis. And, with that background in mind, in 2018, I left public accounting, or I left the firm I was working at. And in 2019, I launched my own business, Expect. And, that was partly my response to trying to deal with that uncertainty. Is I wanted to have control over how I evolved in serving clients and bringing value to my customers. Now, along those lines, I would also mention that, my experience in public accounting has always been, or has primarily been, working with smaller to mid-sized businesses. And I don't know the exact statistic, but if you were to look it up, I think you would find that approximately 90% of working Americans are employed in small to mid-sized businesses. And so when I formed Expect, I formed it with those businesses in mind. And those are the types of businesses I want to focus on. And I believe that there are three characteristics that define a business that can be competitive and sustain that momentum. Those three characteristics are effective leadership at the top, and then the next two go together, and they are clarity and accountability throughout the firm. And in creating Expect, I tried to create my service offerings with those three objectives in mind: effective leadership at the top and clarity and accountability underneath. And that's really what I try to do in my business. When I talk to clients, I tell them, or when I talk to prospective clients, I tell them we help businesses optimize business strategy, enhance operational effectiveness, and successfully leverage accounting as a strategic tool in the business. And so Expect, as you might guess, Expect is a registered public accounting firm. We're registered in the state of Illinois. So we do offer the traditional accounting services, but we also want to be more than just accountants for our clients. We want to help them improve their business strategy, improve their management effectiveness, the way they manage the business, how they work together with their employees to set objectives, to assign responsibility and accountability, how you keep on track. So those are all areas where we consult with businesses to help them be more effective. And then, improving effectiveness. Do you have good processes? Do you have effective internal controls? Have you identified significant risk that could impact your business, and are you prepared for that? So those types of questions we work with companies to help address. And then on the accounting side, are you getting value out of your accounting function? Is it giving you insight on a consistent and regular basis? It's not just getting the work done. It's looking at the numbers and going into the numbers and figuring out what's below and what does that mean for the business, and how do we identify issues, and when we have issues, how do we deal with those issues? And we work with companies as outsourced CFOs, for example, but also we help companies leverage technology. For example, there may be ways a business can apply robotic process automation and automate some of their accounting, time-consuming accounting work. And are you identifying those opportunities and taking advantage of that? And then, of course, the traditional services that we offer, tax and accounting and compliance assurance services that most people think of when they think of an accounting firm. So that's kind of an overview of Expect.
Clients are going to expect quite a bit from you. So I'm curious if, Brian, you might share a story of somebody that's received tremendous value by work.
I'll give you one scenario where Expect has helped a mid-sized business. I've been working with the company that was impacted significantly by the COVID-19, and unfortunately for them, just before COVID-19 hit, they had to terminate their accounting manager. And so they went several months without really having an accounting person there. And when Expect was brought in, there were a number of areas where they were struggling. Just to give you an example, they were behind on their payments to vendors. Literally every day, they were receiving calls about payment. The receivables, collections had fallen behind, as you might guess. They had a big backlog in getting the payments from customers. And then, of course, just the day-to-day accounting was in need of cleanup and catch up. And on top of that, they were in the midst of an audit, financial statement audit. And so, Expect went into that situation, and we worked with them, obviously, to get all the transactions recorded and make sure that, the accounting was being completed and getting done. But more than that, for example, I'll give you one example that's specific to collections. When we went into the business, when I first started working with the business, they were having a weekly collection meeting. And that meeting basically had everyone who was involved in collection in some way, as well as the president of the company and upper management. And it was, number one, the meeting was too long. It lasted 2 or more hours each time. And, all the information that was being discussed, and there was a lot of excuses being made, and, the top management was getting frustrated, and, it was a very stressful, intense situation. Well, one way I improved that is, number one, I suggested we separate the meeting and we have 2 meetings. Number one, the first meeting would be focused. I would lead the first meeting focused with the people who are doing the collection efforts. And then the second meeting would be afterwards with just the president and upper management to kind of report on the status and, what the key issues are and how we are going to try to address those. So I separated the meeting, and then the second thing I did is I started to on a weekly basis. I would send a list of all the past due accounts prior to the meeting, and I would send it to everyone and ask them, before you get to the meeting, please put your comments about the specific customers in the spreadsheet. In other words, do we have a payment commitment? Have they given us a date? Have they given us a check number? Is it an accounting issue? For example, sales tax was charged, but it shouldn't have been charged. I created an issues list, and we begin to track those key issues that were coming out of this process. And we'd identify an issue, we'd list the facts, and then we'd discuss and determine who in the management team should own that issue. And then when we have a meeting the following week, we talk to that person. How's that going? Are we making progress on that issue? And so again, I think you see leadership, clarity, and accountability. And that's what we're trying to do when we work with our clients. And I think we've had very positive results in the case of this particular client with collections. At our last meeting, I think approximately 90% of the past due was less than 30 days, where before it was, there was quite a bit more that was 60 days or longer. And so, we're making progress in that sense. And we're also making progress in the sense of, people are less stressed. We feel like we're making progress, we're doing better. And I think that gives a lot of benefits to the client as well.
Yeah, I can fully agree with that. So I'm curious, who would you say is your ideal client or contact or connection?
My ideal client would be any privately owned, small to mid-sized business. And, I'll just mention that, much of my professional accounting career was spent working with subsidiaries of foreign-owned companies. And so whether it's foreign-owned or a U.S.-owned company, either one. And I have, as far as industry focus, I'm industry agnostic to an extent, but I have more, my background is more in the areas of manufacturing, distribution, and some service industries. And then, so those types of businesses would be good introductions for me. And, I want to work with, Expect wants to work with businesses that maybe they're doing fine, but, they're committed to a long-term vision, and they want to serve their customers well and also provide a good work environment for their employees. And they're just trying to do their best to get there. And Expect wants to see if we can help them achieve those objectives.
So I'm wondering, Brian, if you could share, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you and connect with you and reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
Yes, you can email us at info at expectup.com, or you can also follow Expect on LinkedIn, and you can also connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to start up a conversation that way as well. So again, those three ways to contact me, and the website is www.expect, www.expectup.com.